Hey, welcome to another episode of the Fueled Life Podcast, where our intention is to bring you information, not just information to have, but information that you can implement. And what I want to preface this part two about is that, number one, we get information overload. And there's a difference between information and transformation. And the question is, what side of that equation are you on? Because information is everywhere. If you have a computer and you're watching us, we know that you have emails and you're inundated. You get emails. As soon as you sign up for one thing, you get emails and you get information from everybody. It's swipe up, swipe left, scroll up, scroll down, click here, health tips, nutrition advice, every direction that you're coming at. And everybody knows what they should be doing. Yet, why do so many people stay stuck? That's the question. And implementation is really where the beef is. That's where the magic happens. And in the last episode, we talked about the seed oils and how they're hijacking your health. And having an awareness to that and where they're hidden and what they're doing to your body. They're inflaming your joints. They're inflaming your organs. They're hijacking your metabolism and they're destroying your body from the inside out. And so what do you do with that now? So what's the big question? It is, so what? Well, so what is, what are you going to do with this choice? See, you can file this away and you can put it away as if nothing ever happened. But something did happen, because once you hear it, you can't unhear it. And when you start to implement it, you start to live your life differently. So this episode is not just about dumping more information into your brain. It's about turning those moments into transformation and into action. And this is what happens next. So having a fueled life is not about knowing more. It's about doing what you learn with what you have gained access to. So this is what we're going to talk about today. So just buckle up, enjoy this, implement it, and then share with us what you've got out of this so that we can help you go forward and have a fueled life in the future. Charlie, welcome, my friend.
It's good to be here.
It is.
Yeah, I was thinking, Stanley, when I was a kid, there was a couple of channels, and it was called TV programming. And what it was like, you could watch 3 or 4 different things on a Tuesday night. And he turned a knob and a big antenna went and gave you a better signal. This before cable and all. So you could watch Mork and Mindy or Love Boat, but there wasn't, and then there were magazines and books, but that was it. There wasn't, there were billboards and there were signage, but nothing like information today.
Right.
And I like what you're saying, because information that leads to revelation will lead to transformation.
Yeah.
And that is basically, there's so much information. Now we get to choose if we want to go to the internet and say, I want to read about this. But you also got to be careful, because that information could be false, could be, who knows where it's coming from. But we could go to YouTube, to respectable or people we trust, and get more good information. And we're looking into how to do something, or we want to learn something, or we want to improve something, or we want to change our health. So, and we don't want to just puke out information, because none of us need that. But why would we want to really go to a second week of seed oils? Because it's kind of like high corn fructose. It's kind of like sugar, 164 different names. It's in everything.
Right.
And they now have proof and scientific proof of how seed oils are not doing us any justice at all. So we just want to hone in on, hey, do an AI search, it's a little less bias and it collects from all over. And as I said last week, I did it a few times in AI, and I was pleasantly surprised at the quality information I received.
Yeah, Charlie, the thing of it is, and we've put our trust into certain professions, and the thing about it is, and you and I have both learned this from Dr. Casey Means, is that most medical students don't get any nutrition in their education. They get very, very little. I want to say she said it was like an hour and a half. Now that's minimal compared to, and then when you start to add that up, and I've asked my clients this for years, is that when was the last time your doctor asked you about your nutrition? They ask you about all the check boxes, but they're not talking about nutrition. They're not rehearsed in it, and it's not their fault. They just don't know. And this is why we are given the opportunity to become our own pilot, not the passenger in our plane. We determine where the destination is going. And if we're in the control seat, we actually get to make better decisions and choices. But if we don't know, we don't know. And that's what the Fueled Life podcast is all about, is, knowing what you don't know, discovering what you don't know that you don't know, and then making a better decision about that.
I was at a summit this weekend, and it was called the Stargardt Summit. And Stargardt's is an eye disease, and it's usually early onset children. Parents pass a gene, and I know the gene ABCA4. That information is useless, because can I CRISPR it and change it and then change my legal blindness back to good sight? Not yet. But why am I sharing this? Because at this event, we got a lot of information, but it was good information because there were people there that were newly diagnosed, families with children that were there. And this eye disease is very similar to macular degeneration, which is much more common than Stargardt's disease. Now, I got it as a child, 2 of my sisters and my brother, so 4 out of 6. It's normal that the families, some of the kids, the parents, they kind of have it all mapped out. But what can we do today? How come the guy that was 42 years old and I'm 58, how come his eyes seem to be almost worse than mine if he has the exact same thing? How come somebody got, they don't have all that? So there were a lot of questions. But then somebody started to talk about nutrition, a holistic approach to the mind, body, spirit to help your vision. They didn't say we're going to help your eyesight. We're going to help engage your vision, help you see through the struggle you're facing. And they said not only will reducing certain seed oils, and I was like cheering, going, yes.
Yeah.
They said, not only is this going to help the blood flow, which is so much of it behind the eye.
Yeah.
And we learned about vitamins and which ones not to take with our eye disease could harm it more. And she said, it's also going to help your joints, your inflammation, your heart. It's good. And she was like, so it makes sense. If you don't have this eye disease, it makes sense. And I was like, yes. And I, of course, had a nice conversation with her. And she's like, when a patient comes into my office and is newly diagnosed, has an eye disease, it's devastating. But in my workup with them, Stanley, what do you eat? What's your diet like? What is your sleep like? Exercise. They couldn't say it enough. And, it's like, we got to bring these guys on the Fueled Life.
Right. Exactly. And that's it, Charlie, is that we don't realize the damage that the seed oils are doing. And I had a conversation yesterday with a client, and she said, well, how do you know how much you're getting in? And I said, it's that 1%. It's just like progress. So if you have a 1% increase in your ability to do an exercise, if you have 1% ability to retain more information of what you just read, if you implement it, it seeds into your body. Now it becomes your identity. And it's not just the doing, it's the being. I want to be healthy. I don't want to do healthy as much as I want to be healthy, because there's so much more power when I know that that's my identity. That's the thing that I do. And so what I said was that, it's the 1%. So you get a little bit in your salad dressing, and you get a little bit in the bread, and you get a little bit in this packaged food. You get a little bit in the restaurant. Now it starts to all add up. And it's not just the one by itself, it's the compilation continuing to stack. And as it stacks on each other, now you couple that with people that don't exercise, that don't get any kind of vigorous movement, get that blood flowing, that sludge starts to build up and it collects. And that's where the real impact of seed oils comes in. And then, we're cooking with it because it marinades our food. And if we're marinating our food with the average, or you're baking goods and it calls for vegetable oil, there's a big no-no, because it's not just a twig. It becomes a brush fire. And that inside of our body then starts to wreak havoc on our health and our ability to just function as a human being. And then we're not able to do the things or have the things that we really want.
So in this Stargardt eye disease, we have many, what do we have, 40 trillion cells in our body. I don't know who counted them, but it had to take a while. But anyway, and we know what cells do, how every day we're reproducing our body. They communicate with each other. It's like, hey buddy, you need a little more of this to help clean up your side. Truly our body is unbelievable.
Right.
And the cells' jobs are, we have them everywhere, but we have them behind in our eye, in the back. And my eye disease, that as a vitamin A deficiency and too much vitamin A, and then it actually just what we're talking. It's like I was chugging canola oil and grapeseed oil while I was 4 years old, and it produced a problem. And that is not what happened. But Stanley, the cells in my eyes get clogged.
Right.
They stop working. And that's what's happening in our bodies in different, when we put these toxin seeds oils in us. So then what happens is they like spit out, and it's called a drusen. And on the back of the fovea of the eye, the most center detailed part of our eyesight gets the cells can't do it anymore and they die.
Right.
And because of that, I get blind spots. I lose my detail vision. So I got very educated on that this weekend, and it clicked. It's like, now I understand if the cells aren't working properly in my gut, in my, why inflammation, why I'm putting, like you said, pouring down my drain. My drain is clogged. Why? Because I poured grease and oils and bad food, whatever. And and that's what happens. And then our cells can't clean it anymore. They back up and they die. And, we don't want that to happen, because it causes fatigue, inflammation, brain fog, lack of sleep. And then we turn to pills, maybe alcohol, and more bad eating to try to produce some ease and comfort. We're not on a good path. And we offer, again, information to help with revelation, like an aha, like, oh, this makes sense. And then to move you into transformation. And don't believe us, that's okay.
Right.
Do a little research and try, like Stanley said last week, try 30 days, try one day at a time.
Right.
Say, oh, I can't believe it. This Egg McMuffin, this bacon, egg, and cheese from Dunkin' Donuts, loaded. This Starbucks drink, loaded. This, if we just stopped and got curious throughout the day, let me just, for the fun of it, This has 3 different kinds of seed oils in it. It says it's healthy on the front.
You're 100% on. And like you said, Charlie, it is getting curious. It's really just getting curious. It's not a judgment. And like you also said, nobody has to believe what we say. Put it to the test.
Yeah.
Test me in this. God says this in the Bible. Test me in this. So when we're saying test us in this, test our information that we're bringing out to you. I'm not a doctor. All I know is what I know that works well and very well for me. Does it mean that I don't have a piece of apple pie and I don't ask for what the ingredients are once in a while? No, I'm going to have a piece of pie every once in a while. I'm going to go to a function and I'm going to have a blueberry muffin and I know it's made with seed oils. I'm going to go and have a raspberry scone that's probably not got the best flour in it, but I don't do it every single day. I don't make it a habit. It's a rare occasion. So if you indulge in something, and this is not hypocritical. And the other day I went to a grand opening of a fitness center and I looked at the food that they were serving. And here's what I said to myself. I said, based on what I know and what I've shared, I couldn't even eat any of this, even if I wanted to make it my one time, because it doesn't have the foods. Like they had these really nice looking muffins. I mean, it was from a bakery, and I'm looking at the label. I'm trying to see if there's anything that's going to give me the go ahead, but I didn't. And the reason is because I know that, number one, people are watching me. Number two, I'm watching me. Number three, that once I have that and it triggers that satiation inside of me, I might want a second one. And, Charlie, you've been sober for a good number of years. You wouldn't go and have a drink. That would be the worst thing that you could ever do to your life. So for me, I use that same thing as I've got to make sure that I'm being true to me at the highest level. And my doctor didn't tell me this stuff.
No, and that doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
We both know that. I mean, it's a process. Or a process, however, in case you're in Canada watching this. So what happens is, I'm just going to take a look at this. I'm just curious about it. And now I have gone down the rabbit hole of doing massive research and watching, reading books, and really, but it's the same message from the same quality, trustful type of MDs and researchers, scientists, and people who aren't doctors, like who just have done massive research on seed oils and body and all that. So, but it took time, Stanley, because I had trust in certain things, and now I ask, I ask, like, what is this cooked in? Because if I'm out and they're like, oh, it's cooked, okay, I can't have that. I'm allergic to it. I tell them, okay, and I break out in, it doesn't happen, and they go, oh, because they're all worried about those allergic reactions in their restaurant. So they'll do what you ask.
Right.
And then I say, do you have any grass-fed or healthier butter? Because you can cook it in that. And that, if I'm going to have a one-off if I want to have a bad oil or a not so good butter, I'm going to go with the butter, because that's not going to affect me as much. So I just wanted to just keep looking. And I was blown away, Stanley. I was blown away that almost everything we were buying had it. And then I was blown away that there are so many options of healthy oil, avocado oil, coconut oil. I mean, like a potato chip has, if you look at like Lay's, I don't know how many ingredients, but it's not even food in the long run. And then you look at, I don't know the brand, but it has potato, avocado oil, sea salt,
Right.
3 ingredients,
Right. Yeah.
and they're
And
delicious.
yeah. Yeah. And your fuel, Charlie, it's just like you helped me a couple years ago before the Fueled Life podcast was ever even a vision or a dream or even a thought. I was sharing with you that when I ate salsa all the time, that, hey, there's a better chip. And I found it. They had it in my store. And, it's amazing that you actually get more flavor out of the food that you're eating when it's not covered with all the seed oils.
Right.
Yeah.
And processing. And again, we talked about how like canola and stuff, it's bleached, it's burnt, it's the way, and then it's colored because they want it to sit on the shelf to catch your eye.
Exactly.
I mean, they build it in the bottle, the shape of the bottle, the way it looks at you. They want a certain placement in the store, not for your health. So they sell more bottles.
Yep.
So take that. And that's the truth. I mean,
That
that's marketing. That's what they do. They don't say, let's sit around the boardroom and say, let's engineer this so people thrive, so they're healthier, and we're adding to the common good of all. No, they say, how can we sell more of these? Change the color, put it in a clear plastic toxic bottle, and then when the sun comes through at the store or the lighting hits it, it'll change the properties a little and be even more nutritious. I'm only kidding.
Right. Exactly.
So,
that's it.
These are things I learned, Stanley. I got curious. I'm like, oh God, it makes sense. And then we always talk about yucca, YUKA. Pull it up, scan it. I think, and are they waking up? Have you noticed in the grocery store, some of them are starting to have little health sections. Have you noticed that certain potato chip companies now have different versions of their chips with different oil and different ingredients? Did you notice? Because why? Because people like you watching this, Stanley and I, we're speaking up. How do you speak up? Stop buying it.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing about it with Kennedy being in there and this push to become healthy again. And how many years did it take for the FDA to say red dye number 3 was a cancer producing product? How many years has that been put into our food? And finally, now that they can't avoid it, now that they can't divert that information, they said, okay, we're banning it. Finally, how many people had to suffer for that to happen? And if you're trusting the FDA for your health, you have given too much of your power away, because they're only going to do what they have to do. This is where we do our homework and we go, okay, what can I do? What can I add? What can I subtract? What can I replace? It's not a matter of restriction. It's removing what's no longer good for us, because now we're educated and it's growing, it's processing. And hey, every day is a new day. So what I don't want people to say is, gosh, I lost 50 years of my life by eating all that crap. No, today's a new day. You can start today, 1%, 1%, 1%, and it will add up. And watch what changes. Watch what the energy level changes in your life. And that's what this is about. This is this awareness towards seed oils. Corn oil by itself, if it wasn't over processed in extreme heat, wouldn't maybe not be bad, but it's all the pesticides also that they put on it, that they're putting in your body. You've got all this coupled and your body can't handle it. It was never designed for that.
Yep. And that's why it works and works and works and works. And why are we fatigued, and why are we brain fogged, and why? Because our bodies are constantly trying to clean and do the right thing. and it's taxing on the body. And then it's kind of, like the shower. If you got an old shower head and some of the nozzles are slowly, it's getting more and more clogged. You still get water, but it's starting to struggle. And you ever take one of those off the house and look inside it? It's like, ew.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's what a cell could get, like gummed up.
Yep.
Like a dirty carburetor. And unfortunately, what we can't do is pull out a dead cell, clean it with Carb Clean, put it back in, and it's going to start functioning. Thankfully, though, we can reverse a lot of this inflammation, sore joints, and brain fog, and sleep problems. And, you won't need that hit of energy drinks, and all. You can change all that by just, of course, sugar is going to be a part of it, but seed oils are a huge part of that too.
Yeah. And it's hidden in everything. It's hidden. That's why the print on those labels is so small, because most people aren't looking at that. And if you're buying pre-made sauces, read the label. Why do you think that there is one little sign in the back right corner of the store that says health food? And it's a really small section. What is the rest of the store made from? It's just a question. I'm just asking. Just food for thought. If there's only one section that's healthy, what's the rest of the store? And the thing of it is, Charlie, is when this takes off, if you have a mindset in this and you love like restaurant, you could be the first in your community to switch over. And it may be a slow start, but look at all the fruit smoothie places and all the healthy little stores that constantly have a line behind them. Yeah. It's because people are waking up to the truth and saying, I no longer want to supplement with medication. I want to have a vibrant life. So, here again, here's a few things that you could do. Number one, understand that you're not weak, you're not broken, and you're not stuck to feel the way that you're feeling. If your energy levels are low, take this challenge. Take this challenge and read the labels. Read the labels like your health depends on it, because it does. Swap out your cooking oils. Ditch the store-bought salad dressing. Make your own. Get creative. And anybody that tells me that they don't have time, here's what I'll tell you, is that time is divided by your decisions. Either you will have time being sick, or you make the time staying healthy. It's your choice. And upgrade your nut butters and your spreads. Upgrade them. Know what is in your peanut butter. And then take the 30-day challenge. Take that 30-day challenge and just read and look and replace and see what you feel like at the end of 30 days. And Charlie, I think that's a great place to bring this to a close, unless you have something else that you'd like to throw out there.
Yep. Just get curious. You don't have to you don't have to bring attention to it. Just bring a magnifier. Since the print's small, put something in your purse, in your pocket, and I'm just curious. I've been buying this tomato sauce for 15 years. It's always done. It tastes great. What? Yeah. So, and just get curious and say, hey, and again, Yucca, scan it. It'll say, this is 37 out of 100. And here's the reasons not to buy. Nah, they never say not to buy it. But why? But here's some suggestions of good sauces that rate much higher. They do the work for us. Exactly. For most things. But I also suggest bringing a magnifier or something and just get more curious, and have that information will lead to revelation and will lead to transformation. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
That's fantastic. Hey, we're here to expose the truth and help you take back control. Until we meet next week, have an outstanding week.